principles of specialist seating and explain how we incorporate those into the design of our products. So those principles are well-being, comfort, pressure care, safety, independence, and postural management. Now, before we start, if I could just run through a little bit of virtual housekeeping. We are recording this session, so if you've got colleagues who'd like to have a look at the range a little bit later in the day or later in the week, we can send you a link to the copy of the presentation. Make sure your cameras are switched off and your mics are switched off. If you have any queries, technical queries, if you use the chat feature, my colleague Kim is in the background virtually and can answer any query. If you have a problem with a connection to the meeting or to the presentation, we often find the best way and the simplest way is just to leave and rejoin the meeting. It tends to clear up any little glitches that we have. The presentation will be split into 3 sections. No PowerPoint this month. It's going to be a live presentation of the products and the product features and accessories. We're going to look at the product itself. We're going to look at service. We always like to think that, you know, part of what we provide isn't just a boxed product. It's an actual service that supports specialist seating as well. And we'll also give you some useful tips on reissuing our products as well. If you're working in a community loan store setting, that's quite a key thing to know about, just how easily we can help and you can reissue our seating. Just a general overview of the seating to start with. All the chairs have built-in pressure care. It's called water cell technology. We'll cover that in a bit more detail as we work through the presentation. All the chairs with me today are standard off-the-shelf models of our product. But bear in mind that we have a feature called tailored solutions as well. So we quite often provide bespoke components to a product because we are dealing with more and more complex individuals with more and more precise and unique postural requirements. So for example, on a hydro tilt, I'll run through the range in a second, the hydro tilt, or any of the chairs, we can put a split leg rest on. Perhaps if you have a limb length discrepancy, we put specialist foot plates on. We can split the seat cushion where we have a limb length discrepancy or a rotation. Basically, if you can think of a potential solution, we can try to provide that as a manufactured, engineered solution to your client's postural needs. So without any further ado, I'm going to start on the range. Or just before I start, I'll just quickly mention 2 chairs or 2 models that we don't have with us, just in case you check our website. The first chair is the HydroCare chair. My colleague Kim will post a link to that chair. It's a very simple nursing home style chair, a port room chair, a range of seat widths and a range of seat to floor height and adjustable seat depth. Again, it has built-in pressure care. It's for the semi-ambulant. It has back angle recline. Tray is an option and a leg rest. I'm just mentioning that just in case any of you guys are working more closely with nursing homes, it may be appropriate to consider for your clients. Secondly, we also supply or provide rise and recline seating. Again, Kim will post a link to that for you to see now in chat. Rise and recline, we do standard rise and recline seating, we do bespoke rise and recline seating, and we do bariatric rise and recline seating. So have a little look at those links just to familiarize yourself with the full product portfolio. It's very difficult in a 45-minute time scale, with a 45-minute time scale, to fit all the products into the presentation. So quickly looking now at the chairs in the room. There's a lot of detail in today's presentation. Again, the website's a great source for updating you on your product knowledge, the exact specification of the chair, the exact seat width and seat depth. So what we have with me today is the hydro tilt, providing mild postural support. Newer chair for us called the multi-adjust, which is mild to moderate postural support. The HydroFlex, moderate to complex. And the newest chair in the range called the SmartSeat Pro 2, which is complex in terms of the postural support it provides for your clients. So I'll work my way through the range, starting with the Hydra Tilt, tried and tested product. It's a tilt in space chair with an elevating leg rest and an angle adjustable foot plate. We have seat width, seat depth adjustment, range of accessories for lateral support, and as I said earlier, we've got built-in pressure care. So let's look at tilt in space in a little bit more detail. The back of the chair, there's a little lever here. We squeeze the lever, push down or raise to adjust the tilt in space angle. So I'm using the word tilt in space. You know, tilt in space is a key feature on specialist seating. It maintains the hip angle. The back to seat angle doesn't change when we tilt the chair back, which is great for pelvic stability. It's great for fatigue management as well. You know, as an able-bodied individual, I don't always appreciate how much my body is working against gravity. For some of our clients, that's a key feature to help manage energy and to help reduce fatigue. So we just tilt the chair back. So energy is helping us to sit in that right position in the chair, in that midline position in the chair. I'll run through the chair from foot to head. So we start with a foot plate. The lever on the left-hand side of the chair here. If I pull that lever out, it allows me to elevate the leg rest. The foot plate is angle adjustable. Okay, so if you're a client with a drop foot, or we want to elevate the foot plate to take some stress off the hamstrings, we can open up the angle at the ankle. Foot plate, again, is another critical feature on specialist seating. If you see me present in the past, or with Rebecca, my colleague, I often use the phrase, the devil's in the detail, and this is a great example of that. You know, for example, a lot of our clients don't have a full range of movement to the knee. So if we're not careful, when we elevate that leg rest, we're putting a lot of strain on the knee. Sorry, on the knee and the hip. So for example, I don't know if you can see. That's okay for me. But if I can only achieve 90 at the knee, to sit in this chair, I have to slump it. It'll drag me out of the chair because I don't have that range of movement at the knee. The next thing that'll happen will be, I'll move into that fetal position to try and take some of the pressure, the stress out of my knee joint. So how we use the foot plate and the leg rest is critical, not just on the Hydra Tilt, but on all the chair range. Bring this back up. That's a flip away foot plate. Again, thinking of that client with a limited range at the knee, they may be contracted at the knee, so we need a negative angle leg rest. Again, I'm not quite sure if you can see that very well, but we've got a 25-degree negative angle at the knee there, as standard on the chair. Moving up the chair, we're going to look at some features that will affect pelvic stability. Again, seat width and seat depth adjustment. Seat width on the Hydra Tilt, we adjust by simply changing what we call a saddle arm. This is a saddle arm here, held in place by Velcro. If I remove the two, so I'm just going to get my spare arms. So I know that these arms have given me a 18-inch seat width. If I take those two off, if I pop a thicker arm on the chair, That will give me a 16-inch seat width. When we're looking at seat width, we're looking at perhaps just a hand's width down either side, or just touching a snug fit to keep me in that midline position. Yeah, I don't want to drift across or wind sweep. It's prompting me to sit in that midline position. Bearing in mind the chair is mild postural support. Seat depth adjustment. And if I spin the chair around, and I'm hoping you can see as much of this as possible. Checking on the screen there. There's a little lever here, which is a brake or a lock. I hold that down, push the base of the seat away from me. I increase the seat depth. Bring that back towards me to decrease the seat depth. If you want the exact specifications, check on the website, and then you'll see them on the diagram of the chair. So I'll just spin that round. To give you a better visual of it. Okay. Seat depth, another critical feature on specialist seating. I've left seat depth on this chair purposely long for me. So I'm going to be hoisted into the chair. The only way I can sit in this chair, or the way that I will sit in this chair, is to slowly move into a sacral sitting position. My pelvis is tilted back, is tilted back. Uncomfortable, shear, pressure damage, it's not good. The other thing it does, if I spin the chair around, if you look at the profile of my back, I exaggerate it. It's driving a kyphotic profile, yeah? If you look at my profile here, if that goes unchecked, that'll become a fixed posture. So again, seat depth, critical. Something we see a lot of, again, perhaps in a care home setting, you'll see somebody sitting in a chair that's much too deep for them. They sacrally sit, they develop that kyphosis, they're uncomfortable, they slip down the chair, they get a pressure care issue. Too short. It's uncomfortable. Comfort is again one of the key features of specialist seating. If we don't make the chair comfortable for somebody, they're going to lack the motivation to want to sit in a chair. Uncomfortable, if it's too short, also, it goes against one of the key principles again. Pressure care. We want to get as much of that person in contact with the chair as we possibly can. The seat surface for me, much too short. I can get my hand, full width of my hand behind my knee, and just in front of the seat surface. So there's an awful lot. There's about 5 inches of my upper leg not supported by the seat. So we're not spreading weight and pressure evenly. Moving up the chair. Lateral support. Now, as standard, a hydro tilt would come with a flat back. So if I just remove this, see that? On a flat back on all our chairs, this is the setup. We have 2 foam lozenges, 3 water cells, which is part of the pressure care system, which I'll show you a little bit later. On a flat back, we may want to move some of these contour lozenges, these foam lozenges around just to profile the back. But to be honest, most people sitting in this level of seating need a slightly more supportive lateral system. And what I've got here is a contoured back, laterally contoured back. It's just shaped See the shaping in the back there? A little bit like a nice Recaro car seat. It helps to prompt that person sit in that midline position. We've still got the lozenges and the water cells in the back of the chair. We can leave them as they are. We've achieved a nice midline position. Or perhaps my client still lists slightly to the right or to the left. I can move these around. So if my client is listening to the right, I'm going to reposition this lozenge on the right-hand side. Bring the back in, and what I've done is I've made this section here, this section of the contouring slightly more prominent. So it's bringing that person back into that midline position in the chair. A word we often use in specialist seating and assessments, compromise. We try to balance comfort and posture, again, the key principles. Perhaps the most accurate and effective form of lateral support, if we're just looking at lateral support, maybe an adjustable lateral. So that would be something like this. And we can fit a version of this to the hydrotilt chair. But for a large proportion of the client group looking to use this product, particularly the frail and elderly, they don't react very well, and it's difficult to use a lateral underneath the arm. Yeah, it's a little bit uncomfortable. They may not have the full range of movement to allow us to place that lateral. It's uncomfortable. So an example of compromise for comfort, but still maintaining a level of midline and lateral support would be the contoured back. Just to one side before I fall over it. Other styles of back for the hydrotilt would be a waterfall back. We'll have a little look at that in a bit more detail with some of the other chairs, but a waterfall back is really useful for perhaps that kyphotic profile, bearing in mind is, again, compromise here, because with a waterfall back, we lose a little bit of lateral support. So if that client has a poor sitting balance, we need to be very careful when we prescribe a waterfall back that we've not erred too far from posture in the sake of comfort, because that person will slowly fall to one side or the other. Other features for the chair, sometimes we have people or individuals who need to sit slightly in a more upright position in the chair to make the back slightly more prominent. This is called a backrest wedge. Take it out. So the normal profile of the back would be as such, what am I trying to say here? It would be just like this. If I bring the back forward, pop the wedge in, just brings the back slightly forward. We're not really affecting the angle at the hip, but it's just bringing that person forward. It's just an option that we provide with this chair that a lot of people aren't aware of. The chair I got with me today is a medium version of the chair. It's a medium frame chair. We do a mini, quite often a pediatric or a small person's chair. Again, a small version of the chair, again, for that client with a smaller, slighter stature. The medium chair, go wider to a wide and extra large, which takes us up to a 35-stop weight limit and a 26-inch seat width. Medium chair is a 20-inch seat width maximum, down to a 15-inch seat width or a 35-centimeter seat width. That's standard. But bear in mind, we can mix and match some of those seat widths with our tailored solutions offering. Just a question I quite often get asked is why wooden knuckles at the front of the chair? Just simply to encourage the person in the chair to shift, change position, perhaps help with popping a sling on. if they can stand to transfer. It's a nice firm way to move up from the chair. Having said that, a lot of our clients may have perhaps an involuntary movement or perhaps have slightly uncontrolled movements, and these may form a risk. We can pad them or we can take them away, and all that can be done retrospectively as well. We'll talk about what we can do retrospectively on the chairs when we come to the third section of the presentation about reissue of product. That's the HydroTilt chair. As I said, if you've got any questions, use the chat feature and we'll come back to them at the end of the presentation. So I'm moving from mild postural support to mild to moderate. This chair is called the multi-adjust. It's a tilt and space chair with back angle recline, elevating leg rest with an angle adjustable foot plate, seat width, seat depth adjustment, and arm height adjustment. Really, this chair is designed for a multiple user setting. So where the chair is going to be perhaps coming regularly back into an equipment service, it can be stripped down very, very quickly and very, very easily. With a HydroTilt, to change seat width, we need a different set of arms. With a multi-adjust, that flexibility is built into the chair. Medium version of the chair at the moment, we will be launching a smaller version of the chair as well imminently. If I start at the foot plate and the leg rest, very similar to what I've gone through with the HydroTilt. Angle adjustable foot plate, you can adjust that in length as well. A negative angle leg rest. Again, 25-degree negative angle there. There are two settings for the leg rest. Setting 1, which is my chair here, gives us a -25 to 135-degree rise on the leg rest. Option 2 gives us a 90-degree angle at the knee, but gives us 170 degrees. Basically, option 2 allows us to raise that leg rest higher in the chair. Tilt in space, again, well, remember, there are two options. Standard option 1 would be 0 to 35. We've also got an option which is -5 to 30. And very simply, what that means is chair can be set up so that it tilts forward. So when it tilts forward, it's great for that semi-ambulant individual, the person who can stand to walk. And we want to maintain that independence. Another key feature of specialist seating, we want to maintain it. So the chair will tilt forward, so it brings their feet flat onto the floor or onto the surface of a stand assist hoister to transfer in and out of the chair. Pressure care in the seat as an option. We do reflections foam on the multi-adjust as well, so there are two versions of the seat cushion we can offer you. Seat width adjustment is built in. Again, pelvic stability being key here. We can angle, so if you've got issues with adduction or your client's issues with adduction, angle that. I'm not quite sure how well it comes across on the screen. Arm height adjustment as well. Key feature again to reduce pressure around the shoulders and the neck. What we don't want, I'll leave it as a set there. It's too high. It's going to raise my shoulder. I don't know if you can see that. Too low, I'm going to be tempted to lean across onto the chair. But perhaps I may have the need for different arm heights on either side of the chair. Perhaps I've got a scoliosis. So perhaps I present as having one arm height slightly higher on the one side, slightly lower on the other side. So, quite often we're looking to correct a posture or accommodate and prevent decline. So perhaps what we're doing here is accommodating and preventing decline, having one arm higher than the other. If need be, I can take the arm off completely. And I'll show you. If you notice that all the adjustments I've made so far on both chairs, in fact, all the chairs are tool-free. So these little locking wheels here just tighten up on this section of the arm to lock the arm in place. Seat width is 50 centimeters. If we want a 55 centimeter seat width, we'd recommend we put a slightly wider cushion on there. So there are 2 seat width cushions for the multi-adjust. But the majority of people would be in the standard 50 centimeter seat cushion. Your arm height adjustment is here, just pull that out there. Again, apologies if we can't get close enough to give you the detail on this, but if you go to the website and search for how-to videos or go to the YouTube channel, it'll give you close-ups on how we make all the adjustments on the chairs, on the full range of chairs. Back on. Back support. I've got my chair set up here with a flat back. So with a flat back, put this arm down. I can add an adjustable lateral. I can use different shapes. Standard lateral shape there, or perhaps a kidney pad. So a kidney pad is great where you've got somebody perhaps leaning really heavily across to one side. We want to spread that pressure over as great an area as possible. Another great example here of how we accommodate and help with pressure care. And comfort, it's a slightly more comfortable way to apply lateral support. There. That just locks in like so. These can be moved up and down, in and out, or I take those away. I can take the back off. See how quickly I can change this back. I can take the flat back. Set. That back off. Put a contoured back on. Again, slightly deeper version of the lateral or the contoured back that we use on the Hydra tub. This can be used one of 2 ways, either that way around. So if you notice, the lateral support here is slightly higher. If I spin that round, slightly lower for a smaller or a shorter individual, we can use the laterals or the contoured back in a different setting. We spin that around. This then, I can see again, there are little holes on the back here where these clip place. So again, potentially a compromise here where we use a contoured back to prompt somebody to sit in that midline position. Perhaps they don't tolerate the adjustable lateral, or we could be going the other way. Perhaps somebody has been using contoured back, and over time, you know, they list and they lean a little bit more, the condition changes. Perhaps then we consider using a lateral back. We don't change the whole chair, we just change the components on the back, which goes to the same principle of the entire chair range. The chair range can be adjusted as your client's needs change or as your clients change. Another option for the is a waterfall back. Pops on like so. There's another cushion that comes over the top. Great for that client with a kyphotic profile. Really, really comfortable cushions sit against. We can open up the back and take the padding out and move that around. Okay, we just need to consider how effective the waterfall back will be for lateral support. There we a balancing act. Headrests, I didn't mention headrests on the tilt, but it's basically the same range of headrests that are available for all the chairs. It's either a soft, filled style of headrest, we have different types, or perhaps a foam block carved headrest. I'll come to that in a second. But the most popular headrest that we do at the moment is the soft pillow style of headrest, and this one in particular is popular. It's called a soft profile headrest. The advantage this gives us over foam block headrest is that we've got flexibility and adjustability within it. It's supportive, but if we need to, we can open up the back, move the padding around, so we can perhaps make one side more prominent than the other, perhaps create a well in the center of the headrest. To help with that, we have a tailored solution where we segment, we actually sew segments into the headrest to give us that profiling that we need. So that's a tailored solution. So again, if you go to our website and search for tailored solutions, you'll see lots of examples of what we can do. Put the chair around. Show you the controls of the chair. It's very simple. Tilt in space, always on the CareFlex chair, the top right-hand side. Same as the tilt, same as the flex, same as the Pro. Squeeze, adjust, and release. It's posture neutral, so it shouldn't affect pelvic stability. In fact, if we tilt the chair back, it'll help with pelvic stability because we've got gravity working on our side. The back angle recline needs a lot more consideration on how we use that. Because as we adjust back angle on a chair, we affect the angle of the hip, or the pelvis. So reasons for using it may be comfort. Perhaps, our client finds it very uncomfortable to sit at 90 degrees for whatever reason. So we may want to open that up just to accommodate that person. Maybe a rehab situation, perhaps, where initially we're quite reclined in a chair, and gradually over time, we close that angle to get back closer to that perfect 90-degree angle. But a lot of consideration needs to go into how we use this again, because we can, if we're not careful, put the pelvis into a posterior tilt, encouraging slide and shear, affecting pressure care and posture in the chair. So we need to consider closely how we use back angle recline. To help with that, what we're trying to do with this next feature is avoid accidental adjustment of back angle recline. So what we've done, you see the lever here, just squeeze, adjust, just like a bicycle brake, really. When you want to stop, you release. So I come to the back of the chair as a carer, I grab both levers, tilt works. Oh, that's back angle recline. I don't want to use back angle recline. I've been told it's not, it's not ideal for my resident or client. The label quite clearly, so hopefully that will prevent that accidental adjustment of the chair. What we've done here, again, I don't know if you can see very clearly, but there's a little lock on the lever. So when I squeeze the main lever, nothing happens, it's locked out. So I've got to look, I've got to consider what I'm doing. I release the lock. That allows me to squeeze the lever, adjust back angle recline, and you hear a click, locked back in place. If that doesn't work, quite often what we do is disconnect the back angle recline. Okay, so we set that up with the setup visit with yourselves. We'll then release or unlock the cable. And what we suggest is we take the lever away completely, because what will happen is that people will see this lever, different carers, different shift will come on, go to squeeze, it's not working, they'll report it as a fault. So we would then leave the chair as just tilt in space. Hope that makes sense. Again, if you have any questions, just use the chat feature. Powered options, I'm beginning to lose track now. I don't think I mentioned these with the hydro tilt. Hydro tilt would be powered tilt, powered leg rest. We've also got a feature called auto tilt on the hydro tilt and the HydroFlex. Auto tilt is a regulated motion. So if when we put somebody in the chair, we press the button on the handset, it will cycle through, not as quickly as I'm going here, but it'll cycle through its range of tilt and space over a given time period. It's kind of what we'd call a top-end pressure care offering, because it's a system approach to pressure care. Pressure care in the seat cushion, but it's not just the surface that we're sitting on, it's how we sit on that surface. We need to achieve a good midline posture. We need to maintain pelvic stability through correct seat width, seat depth, foot plate. And we then incorporate the movement. So we slowly, gradually changing the point where gravity comes to bear on that person. On the multi-adjust, we're getting the middle of the chair. Multi-adjust, powered tilt, powered leg rest, powered back angle recline. But bear in mind what I said about back angle recline. More often than not, in our experience, the person needing this kind of chair doesn't have the ability to use a powered back angle recline, because what it means is that, let me just adjust. When they open up the hip angle, that's great, but when we close the hip angle, they need to reposition themselves because they may have slightly slipped down the chair. What happens with the back of the chair is that that's the person's back, that's the back of the chair. As we recline, it gives the sensation of somebody slipping down the back of the chair. As we close that hip angle, we need to reposition ourselves. And more often than not, the person using this level of seating doesn't have that ability. So for power, we provide the option called Pro Control. Pro Control is powered tilt, powered leg rest, manual back angle recline. That's the multi-adjust. I'm just trying to think if I've forgotten anything. We can add a pommel to the chair. Do the same with the hydro tilt. We can add a tray to the chair. Come to the tray in a bit more detail when I look at the flex. So moving up the range, mild to moderate, moderate to complex. This chair is called the HydroFlex. It's a tilt and space chair, posture neutral, great. Back angle recline, need to consider how we use that and how we prescribe that. Elevating leg rest with an articulating action. So as we raise the leg rest, it grows longer. An angle adjustable foot plate. Now you may think this chair looks small, that's because it's a small version of the chair. We do a medium version of the chair as well, so there's 2 frame sizes on this chair. Again, if you need the exact specification of seat widths and seat to floor heights, check the website and you'll find those in the technical drawings. Again, manual, you can power this chair with the Pro Control option. Just lever on the side here, click that out. Angle adjustable foot plate, lever here, which allows me to do that. Or lock and release that. All right, so take that away. So if I'm that semi-ambulant individual, when I bring the chair upright, it tilts slightly forward. It's that negative tilt, tilts forward at 5 degrees of tilt to bring that semi-ambulant client's feet onto the floor, onto the support surface of the hoist. Down. For other individuals, I can use the length of the leg rest, do the same with the tilt on the multi-adjust. Pressure care in the seat cushion, 2 different arm height adjustments, 4 different seat width adjustments, 3 different seat to floor height adjustments. They are factory set, but can be retrospectively changed in the field. I'm losing my breath. A flat back, we've got an option for adjustable laterals, very similar to what we saw with the multi-adjust, or a contoured back. Again, and it's very easy to change. So we cover reissuing of products a little bit later. Literally lift that out. That will be held in place with 4 bolts. Drop the contoured back in. So that can change, perhaps a small version of the chair as the child grows or a condition changes. We can change the back over. Again, we don't have to change the whole chair. We just change a component of the chair to make that change to accommodate that client's posture. Tray, they can be added to all the chairs. Like fit. Not good for me because it's the wrong frame chair, but it'll give you an idea of what we can do with the tray. So it's a rebated tray. So if I am playing or eating, I'm not going to push things off the tray. Obviously good for function, but also sometimes we use it for posture as well. We adapt the tray slightly as a tailored solution, so it helps to open up my shoulder girdle. Just prompts me to sit in that more open posture. Again, an example here, perhaps of a tailored solution. So that's a standard tray, that plastic tray that clips onto the side of all the chairs here. But perhaps for that person who is going to, for whatever clinical reason, put some weight, pressure comes to bear on the elbows and the arms, we can pad the tray. It's a nice, soft, padded surface, pressure relieving materials. Fit a pommel to the chair. As we move through the range of things become slightly more complex, we may be looking for positioning aids. So on positioning aids, I mean pelvic straps. So anything you'd see on a fairly complex wheelchair, we can fit to our seating. That could be a groin harness, a chest harness, a sternum harness, a 4-point pelvic strap, padded pelvic strap, whole range of straps and harnesses. Sometimes with the hydrotil, the client group may be dementia type style client or learning disability client. Perhaps with that positioning aid there's an issue with the client buckling themselves. Yeah, I know there's best interest and deprivation of liberty and all the things they consider with the use of straps and harnesses as well. Sometimes we provide pin opening or a pen opening pelvic strap so that it's not so easy for that client to undo the strap. That's again an example of a tailored solution. Inline foam headrest. So this is a block of foam which has been glued and kind of put together. Hooks onto the back of the chair. We do various other foam block headrests which wouldn't have this support here, but just will be shaped and slightly shaped for the head to support the head in the midline position. Where this works, whoops, it's a little bit small for me, I've got a big head. It just sits on the shoulders. From my perception, from my viewpoint, I don't really notice it. So for peripheral vision, heat, pressure, I don't really get it. If I can look to my right, look to my left, I can still do that. I'm not blinkered by the headrest. It also, again, difficult for you to see, but in the back of the chair there, back of the headrest, there's a foam lozenge that sits in the nape of the back of the head there, and helps to promote that good midline, that good posture for the head, that neutral position. Very useful sometimes with MND type clients where that head position swallow is very, very important. Top of the chair articulates. So let's think of a client, perhaps, again, do we fix, do we accommodate? Do we look to rehab somebody? Or if I have a fixed client in the chair, and perhaps they have a fixed kyphotic profile, I need to bring the support surface of the chair out to that person. So if you imagine that kyphotic profile, moves that section there. And also, with a broader stature, Open up the wings. Back of the chair there. HydroFlex. So again, now mild to moderate, moderate to complex. We're going to look at the Smart Seat Pro 2. A lot of similarities with the tilt and the multi-adjust from the hip down. Where this chair changes dramatically is from the hip up back support. So leg rest, foot plate, I won't go through in detail, but very, very similar to what we have on both the tilt and the tilt and the multi-adjust. Negative leg rest angle of 25 degrees is standard. Controlled by a lever just behind the leg rest. Seat width, seat depth adjustment. I didn't show you seat depth adjustment on the multi-adjust. I'll show it to you on this chair. It's very similar feature, and the flex as well. It's very similar. Tilt in space, 35 degrees. Back angle recline. Controls on the back of the chair, very similar to the multi-adjust. Tilt on the right, back angle recline on the left. A little tip here, again, if we want to isolate back angle recline and prevent people from adjusting it. We can set the back angle recline. We can then take the lever off completely and drop it inside the spine of the chair. So what your client will see is just tilt in space, or your client's carers will see is just tilt in space. So they can focus on what's really important with specialist seating is that initial transfer into the chair. We don't want to overburden somebody with adjusting back angle recline without kind of input from perhaps physio or OT. Tilt in space on this chair. Tilt in space is, as I said to start, very important feature for all specialist seating. On the Hydro Tilt, sorry, I'm getting tired. On the Smart Seat Pro 2, we've included an inclinometer, or what I find a lot easier to say, a tilt in space gauge. So what we have here is a little bubble in this sliding scale, which indicates the angle of tilt in space. Because when we have a client in this chair, perhaps complexity may dictate that we need to be really careful of the amount of tilt in space that we use. Tilted back too far, and it may encourage a chest infection, it may be difficult to swallow. Various clinical reasons why we don't want to use too much tilt in space, but we do want to use tilt in space. Because even a gradual, perhaps 10 or 15 degrees will help, but we don't want to go back to 35 degrees. So as part of the care plan, we can be a lot more prescriptive on how we use tilt in space. We can measure the use of it. That's a new feature on the chair. Seat width adjustment, very similar to the multi-adjust. It slides in and out of the arms. This will go down to 35 centimeter seat width, up to 55 centimeter seat width. Or a 55 centimeter seat width, we'd go for a wider cushion. The cushion sits below the arms on the back of the chair, so that means we don't have to have a different cushion for every seat width of chair that we do. Arm height adjustment, again, similar to what we use with the multi-adjust. Before I go on to the back of the chair, I want to show you how I adjust the seat width, because I didn't show you on the flex or the multi-adjust. But it's very similar. And again, if you need a recap, go to the website, how-to video, search for adjusting seat depth on whatever chair it is, and we'll give you a little 15-second video of exactly how we adjust the seat depth on a chair. So use a lever, hold the lever down, pull the back towards me to increase the seat depth, away from me to decrease the seat depth. No tools, very simple, very easy to do. A critical feature to get right on a chair is seat depth adjustment. So that brings me on to the back. I'll just remove the headrest. 4-section multi-adjustable headrest. Bring it a little bit closer for you. Each section has 5 planes of movement. The top section actually has 6. Okay, so we've got, this is a memory test for me. Height, depth, rotation, pitch. Lock that off. Actual adjustment. Now, I've done all of that without the use of tools. On the top section as well, you can bring that up and down. Let me just spin this chair around to show you exactly what I was doing. Just make sure you can see that. These are quick release or quick lever adjustment kit. Quite often use it for assessment purposes because when we're looking at head support, for example, it's like fine tuning. Yeah. So where we achieve what we want to achieve, I'm going to flick those up. I'm going to bring that down slightly over the pitch. I need to move that forward. Perhaps I'm going to twist it slightly. That's where I need to. Yeah. I'm accommodating. I'm accommodating somebody's fixed posture. Now I've got it there. I want to lock it off as quickly as I can. I don't want to use an Allen key or a spanner or a ratchet close to somebody's head to get that right. So I'm just going to flick the lever down. I'm going to tighten up the nut, sorry. There. There we have it. No tools, no spanners. We've adjusted the headrest. Now each section of the back works in the same way. We've also got these wings, which, depending on which section of the chair talking about, the top section can provide head support. Perhaps, for example, our client with a fixed posture needs a lot of head support, leaning really heavily against the right side here. The left is actually, it's interrupting peripheral vision. We can open that up. Again, hands free, tools free, just twist the nut inside the back section here. Let's bring this back around. Show you the last feature. Just to fine tune it, again, coming back to our 6 principles, comfort is key. Just open this up. Each section has a zip built into it. You can see this profiling here. Here. If you're used to rise and recline chairs, it's like a little section of a rise and recline chair cushion. We can take the padding out the back. I can then position that, or I can add another one. I may want a lot of padding in either wing. And pop that in, lock it and forget it. We can add a tray, we can power, flow control, motorize the chair. Chairs can be included in environmental control systems. And as we move up the chairs in terms of complexity, it becomes more of a thing for us there. One feature I'd like to show you on the Pro is it's actually on the chair. These adjustable laterals. They're a new design for us. They're ergonomic, they're shaped. So they actually almost grip me when they support me in a chair as well. The other feature that we've introduced is a pommel that can be moved offset as standard. So if you think of a client with a fixed pelvic rotation, they present as wind sweeping. We can't put that pommel in the middle of the chair. So again, coming back to one of the 3 things we try to do, we need to accommodate that person. We can offset the pommel and we can adjust the head of the pommel so it aligns with that person's legs. I'm almost on time. I hope you're not in a rush to go anywhere. I just want to finish off and talk about a couple of other things. Firstly is service. We like to think, or we know actually, that the service that supports the chair is as important as the product itself. Yeah. So that service will start with us, perhaps your interaction. Let's take a typical kind of timeline or route, if you like, from request to provision. Telephone call to our head office, say you want an assessment. We need as much information from you as possible about the client. If you're used to working with specialist seating, I'm sure you'll have it, things like seat depth, seat width, seat to floor height, or I'm saying seat, I mean knee to heel, back of heel to hip, head to shoulder, head, all the usual kind of client details, so that we can start to work out and formulate which chair would be most appropriate for your client. Any detail on client prognosis, expectations, you know, are we looking to sit out in a chair for a given period of time? Does the chair need to be moved from room to room? What is access like? All these things affect the assessment process. It's not just the clinical detail that we need, it's the environmental detail that we need. It's quite a holistic seating assessment. You then, if we don't, we may agree a date with you at that point, but you may well get a telephone call from one of our seating assessors. They'll have a chat with you about the client, get a little bit more detail, get to know better understanding of the client need, and agree a date. Carry out the assessment. Obviously, we'll try a chair. We may try 2, may try 3 chairs with the client. We'll look at the most appropriate solution for your client. We provide you with a quotation. Quotation is backed up with a fully a detailed clinical reasoning for the specification we've arrived at. We do that for every one of our chairs if it's required. Hopefully we get to the point where we win a quote. We contact you, we deliver and set up the chair, whether that's direct to the client's address or whether it's via an equipment store. We'll help manage that situation. Ideally and efficiently, it's more efficient if we deliver direct to the client and follow up with the paperwork for the equipment store. But we can talk about that. That's the detail that we get involved with, the paperwork side of it. Delivering the chair includes setup, a level of training for carers so they understand how the chair works, so they understand the things they shouldn't be doing with the chair, so they understand what good posture looks like and what is achievable. And finally, everything's great, but we recognize that people change, conditions move on, prognoses change. We're there to review if need be as well and to problem solve. So that's the service that we provide in conjunction with the product that's supplied, which comes with a lifetime frame warranty as well, by the way. Reissuing products. My key tip if you want reissuing a product is get to know the serial number of the chair, get to know where to find it. Again, you may not remember some of the detail that I'm talking about now, but if you go to the website or give us a ring, we can advise you on where to find that serial number. It's a little silver label. You can see there very well. It's quite prominent on the back of all the chairs. That's a unique serial number. Our chairs are Class 1 medical devices, and as such, they need to have a unique serial number. They comply with a whole raft quality standards that we need to comply with for them to become Class 1 medical device. You've got the serial number, you give us a call, we will give you the exact specification of a chair. So let's say, for example, you've got my Hydrotil. It's been out with somebody in the store, in your community. It's set up as a 400mm seat, but it's a medium chair, it's a manual chair. We know that your client, or you know that your client needs a 55cm seat width. We can't accommodate that in this chair. Okay. On the other side of it, perhaps you have another client who needs a 45cm seat width. I can come back to you and say, well, this is the specification of the chair as it is. We need to change the arms if it's going to be successful. We can help you on the assessment, but if you want to take it forward, you need to order a new set of arms. It's got a flat back. Okay, we quite like the back that Les showed us on the webinar. So we can then make sure we've got the right size contoured back for you. All the covers on a CareFlex chair are loose. Sometimes colours and fabrics are just seen as a little bit of a luxury, but for some people, it can be critical. It can be the difference between accepting a product and not accepting a product for various aesthetic reasons or clinical reasons. So HydroTilt needs to go out to somebody, they want bright pink. Any chair will do as long as it's bright pink. All the covers on a chair, CareFlex chair are loose. So we can peel this off, and we can just replace the covers on a chair. Doesn't need to come back to us or to go to an upholsterer. This can be done on site at the equipment store before you issue the chair. I think I just about covered everything. I was going to show you the pressure care and the seat cushion. All again examples here of things that can be. You may want to use a different cushion with a chair. You may want to use an alternating cushion or a dynamic cushion or a bespoke foam carved cushion. You can take our seat cushions out of the chairs, and there's a solid substrate in which you can mount your cushion. What we don't do, and I'm sure you're all aware of this, is advocate you put another cushion on top of our cushion. Okay, that's a no-no, unless it's specifically an overlay cushion. Okay? So what we have here is water cell technology. You can hear that the system is based on water. Nothing special about the water other than the fact it comes from Devon. It's in short supply at the moment, but so we have a four-way stretch, breathable fabric, memory foam, and you see the blue water cells on the underside of the chair there. And it's an immersion principle. So where we get high pressure points, probably your ischial tuberosity, your client's ITs come into contact with the chair, the cushion. The four-way stretch gives and allows the bony prominence to be absorbed. Memory foam reacts to the body heat and contours the body shape. And the water displaces it, moves away from whatever it feels the pressure. So very simply what happens is high pressure point comes into contact with the chair, surrounding surface rises and spreads the pressure over a greater area. It's very simple but effective. We've used this system now for almost 28 years. We've got clinical evaluations of this as well. Again, check the website for a little bit more detail on that. And that's me. Done. I don't know if you have any questions, Kim.
No, we haven't got any questions, but I've supplied lots of links in the chat to support everything you've been saying. So hopefully everyone's got all the information. If there's any questions that you have afterwards, please just email us at training@careflex.co.uk.
Last chance for any questions, if anybody. No. Okay, well, that being the case, thank you for attending this morning. I hope you found it helpful and informative. If there's anything you need, you know how to get hold of us. Please just get in touch, pick the phone up, send us an email. We're here to help. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Bye-bye.